I can already tell you're saying there is still more work to be done here. But right now, you're saying celebration is in order.
We have to celebrate.
The jury did the right thing, in your opinion.
They absolutely did the right thing, and I'm eternally grateful.
So,
that
by
they
Paul
could
Bethany,
see
Sully
tears
song,
in your eyes.
created
Yes, I just
April
began to
20th,
weep
2021.
as the
The song is
verdict
going
was
to be
being
called
read. It
The
was
Jury
tears
Did the
of
Right
joy,
Thing.
tears of relief, and just really feeling like I could breathe.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep last night either.
I didn't, yes, I understand. Thank you, Nakima.
Thank
Nora?
Thank you, Nakima, and thank you, Gail. I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Joe Tamburino, who joins us. And Joe, we know that former officer Derek Chauvin's bail has been revoked. He has been remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff. He awaits sentencing. What steps do you think happen next?
Hi, good evening. What's going to happen next is that the judge will make a decision as to whether or not aggravating factors exist in this case. I'm sure he's going to find that they do. And if he does make that decision, then he could go from what's called the guideline sentence up to the statutory maximum. And we'll know that at the time of sentencing in a couple of months.
The jury did the right thing.
And what is that statutory maximum that Derek Chauvin now faces?
Well, on count one, the judge can go from 12 and a half years under the guidelines up to 40 years. On count two, he could go to 25 years, and on count three, he can go to 10 years. However, since this case involves one victim, Mr. Floyd, all of those sentences would run concurrently, which means if the judge gave Mr. Chauvin 40 years, that would be the sentence.
I thought I read somewhere also that because he has not been convicted of a prior felony, that some of that time might be reduced.
In Minnesota, the time is reduced by a third. That's it. So if you get, say, a 12-year sentence, you will serve 11 years. We have very determinate sentencing. There's no parole board. So you couldn't get a 40-year sentence and appear in front of a parole board in a few years and say, look, I've been doing all this. Can you cut my time down? So if he gets 30 years, he will be out in 20 years. It's a very easy system to operate.
And Joe, while many people in Minneapolis celebrate the guilty verdict of Derek Chauvin, we should note there are still 3 more trials for the other officers involved, correct?
That's correct. And we should also note that this is the second time in literally just 2 years that a Minneapolis police officer has been convicted of a murder charge. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office convicted Mohammed Noor in April of 2019 of third-degree murder. And now the Attorney General's office has convicted Mr. Chauvin of second-degree unintentional murder and third-degree murder. And you are correct. In just a few months, we will have another trial involving the other 3 officers. That will be a joint trial.
And we just heard Nakima Armstrong, who is the NAACP chapter there, the president there in Minneapolis, talking about that this is a systemic problem in policing there. What reforms have been made and which ones still need to be made?
Well, the reforms that have been made are very small. They've been at the legislature, and they've been basically on a use of force level. Basically, what the legislature has done is taken away certain affirmative defenses when an officer is trying to use force, such as with chokeholds. The reforms that would be coming after this would basically be about understanding people's backgrounds, race, how to approach people in the community, how not to do pretextual stops, but also just proper training across the board, because many times we're in situations where proper training was not done, and we have some very cataclysmic consequences.
What do you expect happens next in terms of Chauvin's defense? Will they move forward and try to suggest a mistrial?
They might, but they'll have no chance at that. Their next step will be an appeal. I'm sure that what the judge will do is find aggravating factors, and there are basically 2 in this case. One is particular cruelty, and second is that the crime was committed in front of the presence of juveniles, kids, and we know that because of the witnesses that have testified. So if the judge sentences Mr. Chauvin to, say, 30 years, after that sentence, the defense will appeal. The appellate process usually takes about 12 to 18 months, and during that time, the other officers will go on trial in August.
Joe Tamburino, defense attorney, thank you for your expertise. Sending it back now to Gail there in Minneapolis.
All right, we have another, I think he's said 16 days to wait for the sentencing. Thank you, Norm. Jeff Begayes is with an activist now that he met some years ago after the police killing of Michael Brown. That was in Ferguson, Missouri.
Country who knows more about police-community relations than this young man who's now 25. He lives in Chicago, but now he travels the country discussing these issues. And you were just telling me a few minutes ago that, I don't know, you're surprised that he was found guilty on all these counts. Why are you surprised, given your experience covering, learning about these issues, studying these issues, and being an activist when it comes to these issues?
Well, this isn't something that we see on a day-to-day basis with these cases. The last time I seen people cheering like this, it was in Chicago. I was one of the organizers in the Laquan McDonald movement, and Jason Van Dyke was one of the first officer in Chicago. So
Laquan
we don't see
McDonald
it.
shot 16 times on the streets of Chicago.
Yeah.
And it took about a year for the video of the shooting to come out.
Yep.
And that's when the unrest, if you will, began, and the calls for change began as well.
Yep, he's one of the first officers in Illinois to be held accountable. So to see this as one of the first officers in Minnesota, I'm happy, I'm shocked, but we need to continue holding officers accountable. But we need real legislative change in this country, and really look at how we can move the needle, because this can't keep happening. This cannot be our reality each and every day. Bracing for videos and bracing for if a jury or judge is going to find an officer guilty.
I think a lot of people, when they hear the celebrations, when they hear some of the statements made about Derek Chauvin, they think that, or they jump to the conclusion that this is about community versus cops.
Right.
That's not what this is about if you talk to Jamal Green, because he has family members who are police officers.
Right.
We've talked in the past about how it's mostly about weeding the bad cops out of the system.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do. It has been so much that has happened over the years that this system is so corrupt that how do you